It was a deliberate trial, cold, calculated, and precise. In the stillness of a grand mansion with marble floors, under the shimmer of a crystal chandelier, and the faint ticking of an old clock, a safe stood ajar in the master's study. Inside, stacks of cash were piled like emerald blocks of allure, gleaming next to chains of gold and sparkling diamonds. He knew she would walk through this room. He had memorized her routine down to the second. The man, a multi-millionaire, stood concealed just past the hallway arch, his gaze sharp, not with malice, but with quiet expectation. Yet as he observed his housemaid step into the room and halt before the open safe, he never anticipated that the events of the next few moments would completely undo him, cracking open a heart he thought had long since hardened. If you believe in redemption, in the subtle strength of compassion, and in the power of integrity to transform lives, stop here. Like this video, subscribe to Compassion Hub, and share this tale. Let the world know that honor still thrives in moments unseen. The housemaid, Sophia, was 32, slight, quiet, with deep brown eyes that carried the burden of unspoken stories. She had worked at the Harrington estate for just over 7 months. A widow raising 2 young daughters and caring for a mother with cancer, Sophia was a woman who navigated suffering with grace. Each day, she arrived before dawn, pulling her dark hair into a neat bun, donning her plain uniform, and performing her duties without protest or delay. To most, she was a ghost, unnoticed behind polished silver and gleaming marble. But to William Harrington, the solitary millionaire who had inherited riches but never found serenity, Sophia was an enigma that began to preoccupy him. William had spent his life safeguarding his fortune. He had been robbed, betrayed, exploited. His ex-wife claimed a fortune in their divorce. Former staff pilfered funds. Friends turned profiteers. So he built barriers, steel around his vault, ice around his heart. When Sophia came into his employ, there was something distinct about her. She didn't curry favor. She didn't pry. She never loitered in rooms beyond her tasks. And every record, every background check, showed her to be impeccably honest. Her integrity unnerved William, feeling almost too pure to believe. That's when he conceived the trial. One Wednesday morning, just before Sophia's scheduled cleaning of the study, William left the safe wide open. He had ordered his security team to disable the hallway cameras briefly. No one would know this moment occurred but him. He wanted to see what Sophia would do when confronted with overwhelming temptation. Would she waver? Would she take? Or was she truly as steadfast as she seemed? At precisely 8:42 a.m., Sophia entered the room. She didn't notice the safe at first, not until sunlight struck its steel door, casting a glare across the polished floor. She froze mid-step, her duster still in her gloved hand. Her eyes darted to the safe, then swiftly to the hallway. No one. Silence. Her breath hitched. For a long moment, she stood motionless, staring at the open vault as if questioning its reality. William's pulse raced. He watched as she approached cautiously, tentatively. Her fingers hovered near the stacks of cash, then touched nothing. Instead, she pulled the cleaning cloth from her apron and gently wiped the safe's edge, careful not to disturb a single bundle inside. She didn't count the bills. She didn't glance around with greed. She simply cleaned the steel with the same care she gave every surface in the mansion. Then, something unexpected unfolded. Sophia reached into her pocket and drew out a small, folded, worn photo. She glanced at the hallway again, ensuring solitude, and placed the photo on the shelf beside the cash. It showed 2 young girls, perhaps 7 and 5, smiling brightly in front of a hospital bed where an older woman lay, her smile frail. Sophia whispered something too soft for even the hidden William to hear. Then, gently, she retrieved the photo, kissed it, and slipped it back into her pocket. She closed the safe door. William retreated into the shadows, stunned. He hadn't known what to expect. A quick grab, a single bill, perhaps a moment of hesitation. But what he witnessed was reverence, pain, and love wrapped in restraint. He turned away before she could see the tears welling in his eyes. That night, William couldn't sleep. He replayed the scene endlessly. The photo, the quiet kiss, the untouched safe. The weight of it pressed on his chest like a truth he wasn't ready to face. It wasn't about the trial anymore. It was about her, about a kind of goodness he'd spent his life doubting. He realized he had judged everyone through the scars of his past. nearly missing the rare virtue standing quietly in his own home. The next morning, Sophia found a letter on the kitchen counter, addressed to her in William's precise, bold handwriting. Inside was a brief note. Integrity is invaluable, but so is peace. You've given me both. Your daughters and your mother deserve a life free of fear. Please accept the enclosed without guilt. It's not a reward. It's gratitude. Attached was a blank, signed check. Sophia sank into the nearest chair, overwhelmed. Tears fell silently down her cheeks. Her hands shook as she pressed the letter to her chest. In that moment, the burdens she'd carried for years, her mother's treatment, her daughter's school fees, the threat of eviction, eased just a little. Not because she had begged or stolen, but because she had chosen integrity when no one was watching. That weekend, William visited her home, not as her employer, but as a friend. He sat at her small wooden table, played with her daughters, and brought a folder of documents to help her buy a home in a safer neighborhood. He offered her a new role, head of domestic operations, with full benefits and a flexible schedule to care for her family. But more than that, he offered something rare from a man like him: trust. Sometimes, the greatest tests are passed not with fanfare, but with quiet, unseen choices. Sometimes, the wealthiest people aren't those with the fullest vaults, but those who live with truth, even when no one sees. If this story moved you, please like, share, and subscribe to this channel. We share true, heartfelt stories that reveal the quiet power of humanity. Leave a comment below if you believe one act of integrity can change everything. And before you go, tell us in the comments, what would you do if no one was watching?